everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form, and hopefully by the end of this episode, you have two movies to go check out. And it is the third Thursday of the month, which means my good friend and fellow crew member Luke is here. Luke, thank you so much for coming on.
Always about Shane. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. And we have a double dose, a loose sequel,
Mhm.
pair of films here in the looser of sense because you do have the same central protagonist, and we are going to be tackling Kira Kurosawa's Ronin duology, Yojimbo and Sanjuro, and
Yes.
starring as
hmm
the samurai turned Ronin Sanjuro. So,
hmm
to be frank, I don't even know if I really picked up that his name was Sanjuro in the first movie that I've watched plenty of times up to this point. And then I'm like, oh well, the sequel title makes a lot more sense then.
hmm
But let's dive in first with Yojimbo, which came out in 1961, and a crafty Ronin comes to a town divided by two criminal gangs and decides to play them against each other to free the town. Hey, Luke, I have a question for you.
hmm
How well versed in spaghetti westerns are you?
I n- I've seen the big ones, so like, are we gonna talk about Leone and Sergio Leone and him stealing this? Yeah.
Yes, because this is just a fistful of dollars is just Yojimbo. Um,
hmm
Unofficial adaptation. So
Well,
there
they
you go.
had to pay him like before we go into the movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
like Leone when he made Fistful of Dollars, literally he had to pay 15% of the earnings to Akira Kurosawa, even though, as IMDb trivia tells you, he was also inspired by a movie from 1942, I think, American movie. So I'm like, I guess.
so this is the interesting thing, and because a lot of Akira Kurosawa's
hmm
samurai films are heavily influenced by John Ford westerns
Yes, yes.
because and that's the beauty of like there's so much criticism today about like filmmakers are just recycling their influences and stuff like
hmm
that.
hmm
That stuff's been going on since the beginning of movies. And
Yes.
like John Ford influenced Akira Kurosawa, who influenced Sergio Leone, Steven Spielberg, yada yada, yada yada, yada yada,
hmm
yada yada, and all these
hmm
people. And you have people like Martin Scorsese, who was directly influenced by John Ford originally, and
Yes.
also Akira Kurosawa. And just like
Yeah.
people draw from other things. Now, this is straight up plagiarism. Because this is
Yes.
literally the same exact movie, which it is really fun watching the two of these
hmm
and how they're both incredibly crafted movies and have their own tone and everything.
Yep.
And yeah, they're literally the same exact story.
Yes.
But feudal Japan,
hmm
the Old West of the United
hmm
States, that's totally not Spain with a bunch of
No,
Italian people in it.
not at
Totally
all.
not Spain.
Not at all. No, no, no.
Not at all. But Luke, what are your general thoughts on Yojimbo?
So I've seen Yojimbo. This is my second viewing. The first time it
Mhm.
was like at least, yeah, about 20 years ago now. So like this was
Okay.
almost as brand new, really.
Mhm.
I really liked it. I don't think it's Kurosawa's one of his better movie. Well, no, it is his better movies. It's not his best movie or one of his, because again, like we're talking about Kurosawa, even his quote unquote weaker movie is still certain fucking quality, right?
Yeah.
And this viewing really will dawn on me. So first of all, yes, if I'm not mistaken, he makes up that his name is Sanjuro. So like literally, it is he is man with no name or man with fake name, and like
Yeah.
see Shane, this is the difference between a man with no name because we literally don't know his name. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
people just call him Blondie. Or
yes.
I think and that's the thing. I don't think he has a name in like they call him Joe or Blondie, and
hmm
in each of those three movies they call him by different things, but he is
Yes.
supposed to be the same character.
Yes. But on this watch, what I picked up. I love the fact how he is not necessarily a good guy. He does good stuff, or he tries to do good things, but the ways he goes about them are not exactly good. So it's like, do ends justify the means?
Hmm.
We can have the debate there because, like, he is often trying to put them together, like these two like clans against each other. And when it seems like, oh, there might be peace, he's like, well, this is not fit, this doesn't fit in my fantasy. This is not in my budget for next year. So I need to make the coin too. So I just thought, that was interesting. Like I always like these characters where like they are not good or bad. They are like morally very ambiguous. And him, like this is like, and yeah, so I really liked it. What about you, Shane?
Real quick, let's roll out to the
Mm-hmm.
D&D alignment chart. Um, of good, neutral, evil, lawful,
Yeah.
neutral, chaotic. It's one of those things where Sanjuro is somebody
Mm-hmm.
who I love the evolution of his approach to this town. Because
Yeah.
his initial approach to this town is I'm just gonna mess with both of them and
Yes.
screw both of them up
Mm-hmm.
and leave this town with like both of these gangs turned upside down.
Mm-hmm.
But then he starts to realize that one of these gangs is worse than the other. And that's where this is where you have a true neutral character who starts
Mm-hmm.
to crack and break good a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you realize it's like, where it's just like, crap. Like, come on. I was just having fun here. Then now one of these turned out to be like a legitimately absolutely terrible things that they're doing. And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, now I have to do something about it. And I
Yeah.
do enjoy that evolution of his, because I guess technically, I think he's lawful neutral because he has a code
Mm-hmm.
amongst himself
Mm-hmm.
and he does things based off of his own code. And we'll talk about that in Sanjuro.
Yeah.
Um, I think that comes up a little bit. But the thing is, he realigns in this because he starts to break
Mm-hmm.
good towards the end of this movie, just in time for him to nope out. Just be like,
Yes.
goodbye. And I think one of the
Everything's
things that
fixed now. Everything is sorted. Thank you. Bye.
thank you, Bob. And I think one of the things that I love most about this is because what's all the branding to all of my shows? The
Mm-hmm.
Wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yep.
Max? Here's the thing. If you didn't have the first Mad Max movie and you didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that backstory,
Mm-hmm.
that would just be Max, is
Yeah.
Sanjuro, the man with no name.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he's treated. Like, surprise people, the Mad Max movies are westerns. Just, they're
What?
what? They're just meat pie westerns.
Mm-hmm.
Post-apocalyptic, aka Australian westerns.
Yes.
Um, he's a character that like comes in, has his own needs and
Mm-hmm.
desires, and then something strikes him as like, I guess I should probably do something about this because this isn't great. And
Mm-hmm.
then does something and then nopes out because
Yeah.
he can't put in roots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's very clear about Sanjuro is like he's not laying roots anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
he'll help you and move on.
yes. Yes, correct. And like I also love the how the movie shows him as like he is the ultimate power. Like he is the ultimate. Look, this is the prototype of a ultimate man. You might not like it, but this is how he looks like, right? Like he cannot be beaten. Like like he only is down when they capture him, and when they like
Yeah.
effectively like torture him for a couple of days. Then he can tell, oh yeah, he is down. But even then, like he escapes, spoilers, and then like
He
he takes a couple of
respawns
days.
and
Yes,
comes back stronger than ever.
yeah, he only takes a couple of days. He's like, okay, I'm kind of healed. Let's go kick some ass. Like let me get some sword and let me slice up some fools. And but I loved see this is what I loved also about this how those sword fights are quick, quite brutal at times. Like you see
Yeah.
some limps,
Yeah.
here and there. And it's just like, this is not like, hey, we will have this epic battle for 10 minutes because you're a final boss of this level. No, they're just like, and it's done. Like 5 seconds.
Well, it's very
Yes.
Unforgiven-esque in the fact that it's just like this is what actually would happen if
Mm-hmm.
somebody rolled up and it's like you're getting sliced up
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like obviously nobody in this town is on the same level of swordsman that this
Mm-hmm.
man is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you're gonna get messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I there's so many things I love about this movie. One, this movie has the ultimate tone setter. When
Mm-hmm.
he walks in that town and that dog just trots on by with an arm in its mouth, you're just like,
How many movies did that, by the way? How many movies did
so
that scene? Right. Yep.
so and it's just like, yes, this
Mm-hmm.
this is the type of movie you're getting into. I'm like,
Yep.
that is perfect. So inspired. I love Toshiro Mifune
Yes.
because he is the manic, young, rambunctious samurai in
Mm-hmm.
Seven Samurai. He
Mm-hmm.
is big, he's verbose. In Throne of Blood, he's the Macbeth who slowly loses his mind and is like screaming.
Yep.
Here, he is cool as hell.
Yes.
And I just love his body language, his walk. He just like and just throws his arms in his pockets and just trudges on off places. And it's just like this man means business and he walks with a purpose.
You know he means business when his hands are showing because most of the time throughout the movie his hands are inside of his kimono, right?
Yeah,
So like
you don't
you
want to see his hands
yeah, and
because
it's
he's gonna
like
throw them.
and it kind of looks a bit at first I was like this is kind of silly, but then when you spot like oh this is how he just walks, and when you see his hands, that's mostly shit's about to go down. So
It's like
that
you're gonna be dead
yes.
momentarily.
And that is such a I don't know if it was Kurosawa's choice or the Toshiro Mifune's choice. Whoever made that choice, it's actually like, it might seem silly, but once you actually get like used to this, and once you actually spot this, it's like this is fucking brilliant because
Yep.
because you need to have certain charisma and certain stature not to be like, hey, look at a silly guy. You don't see his hands, so it kind of looks a bit weird. But no, with him, it's like, damn, this is a big fucking mountain of a guy. He's got that charisma you want to follow, and once you see his hands, that game over. Game over, man. Game
It's game
over.
over. There is a character in this town that's definitely Bill Paxton aliens coded, who's just like the at the end when his hands come out and he has a sword. That's exactly what's running through one of their heads.
Yep.
And the music,
Mm.
the music from Masuru Saito is just so good, and it's like this strange like it sounds like they're banging on metal at times, and
And that
it
clicking
just
sound.
yeah
Yeah, yeah.
because and and what Ennio Morricone does with the Dollars trilogy is it isn't like traditional
Mm-hmm.
orchestral music.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's sounds, its atmosphere has a distinct feel, and this has an exact distinct feel because my God, whenever he starts trudging off, and that's exactly what his walk tells me, he's trudging. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's just a look to that, and then the music starts playing. I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, this man means business.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's so many inspired camera moments. Like
Oh.
I love the moment where the two gangs are like slowly like juking each other out, and he's just
Mm-hmm.
sitting up on that watchtower, and you have that angled shot up.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody shoots action scenes like this, and that's what makes it special.
I think, see, this is what I always realize with these older movies and like these masters of cinema, like Kurosawa or younger, even younger Spielberg. If you rewatch Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? You realize that these guys do not cut unless it's necessary. So there's a bunch of even in Indiana Jones, even in this movie, there is a bunch of scenes that are just like 2 minutes of not one shot that's like oh blow your mind, but no, we do not cut. These actors know their lines, they know exactly their marks, right? And we don't need to cut every 5 seconds from a different angle, and we don't need to get every reaction shot. He just like, and this is what I admire about people who are so certain of their craft. It's like,
Yep.
Akira Kurosawa is just like, no, I'll set up this shot because I like it. You better fucking learn your lines, and we roll, and like, we only cut when it's the scene has ended. And speaking of shots, I think one of the most iconic shots is him with a sword and and him walking towards the camera. I think towards the end, and that's just yeah, that's what I meant when I said even if I didn't love this movie fully, because I think the first half could be a bit. There is some
Tighter.
pacing issues, like
Oh,
tiny bit of
tighter.
pacing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the second half is so fucking awesome. And again, in the hands of Akira Kurosawa or somebody as capable as him, the technical level of this movie, you mentioned the soundtrack, obviously, like the music, the camera work, the editing, the performances, you will still have a blast, even if it's not gonna be, oh yeah, this is probably not his best work, Kurosawa's work, but it's still up there because like there is a certain level he doesn't dip below, and that's to me always appreciated.
It's like this is not on the same level as Rashomon and Seven Samurai and Ron.
Yeah,
Thinking
no,
about like
yeah.
his samurai films and the amount of depth that they have, which I do give this film credit for. I think the first half, it's just so much playing around that
Mm-hmm,
yeah, there could be I could see where you might trim up a little bit of that playing around.
mm-hmm.
I what I appreciate about this film is when it kicks it into gear and you have
Yeah.
some of those big emotional moments where it's just like, oh crap, this is what's really going on in this town.
Mm-hmm.
And where there seems to be real weight. And Yojimbo, Hidden Fortress, Sanjuro will talk about. These are the types of films that with a lesser filmmaker, it's just, some fun popcorn
Mm-hmm.
watching good time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a Kurosawa, a
Mm-hmm.
Leone, a Spielberg, somebody who like is truly an auteur and knows how to craft, just elevate something in a way that this is why Yojimbo still talked about and loved. This is
And not only
all these years
that,
later.
yes, correct. And not only that, but we've kind of hinted at this or talked about it. It goes past like just quote unquote Man with No Name trilogy. This, a foreigner comes to a town to save them, or to not save them, but like to like, pit us, and this ultimate warrior, ultimate samurai, ultimate like badass comes to a town and like, and sees what's happening. How many movies since then, borrowed from this particular whether it's Yojimbo, whether
Oh
it's
my.
Man. Yeah, like so many. Like there's like, to this day, like if you anybody who listens to this episode, go to Akira Kurosawa's IMDb profile. He directed only quote unquote 33 movies. His writing credits over 200 because to this day people still need to give him credit when they spin one of his ideas.
Yep.
Whether it's
Highest
this,
to
whether it's
lowest.
yes, highest to lowest, whether it's this, whether it's something like Seven Samurai, whether it's
Yep.
something like High to Low. Like again,
There's like 57 samurai at this point. Because like
mhm,
even just the Magnificent Seven,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is a great film in its own right, and what John Sturges does with that. But it's Seven Samurai.
It is a
It is
remake of
it.
Seven Samurai. Yes.
A Bug's Life
Yeah.
is Seven Samurai, except what if the Seven Samurai were all just actors?
Yes. Yes.
And like, who at Pixar was like, we're gonna make Seven Samurai, but with bugs?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, what? And that's the impressive thing. One last thing I would like to say about Sanjuro, about Yojimbo before we start talking about Sanjuro. You all
Mm-hmm.
can see this. I don't know how well you can see it, Luke, but this shot of him walking
Mm-hmm.
up at the end, arms behind his back, sword at the ready, just dust just
Yes.
blowing behind him. And it's just like, these guys are effed.
Yeah.
Like they have no chance. And then the reverse shot with just this gang lined up, and you have this monster of a man
Mm-hmm.
standing in
Mm-hmm.
the background, which love little character details of casting. they had to have found the largest man in Japan to
Oh
pop
yeah.
up in this movie. And you know, they do stuff like that all the way up until now, with like henchmen like Jaws and James
Hmm.
Bond. Or I had randomly watched a bit of Rush Hour 3, and they do the same gag where they have like the biggest possible person that you can possibly find.
Yep.
And just those little details. But I guess, is there anything else you wanted to add specifically about Yojimbo?
Um, yeah, no, like, again, like great movie. Even if it's not one of his best ones, quote unquote, it's still probably, probably like top seven, top five, maybe. Like, no, like honestly, like it's still a great, fun
Mhm.
times, which if you can admire cinema, and just this sounds pretentious as fuck. I understand. I can listen, I can hear myself. I can hear myself. But if you can admire cinema on a different level, you will eat this movie up because this movie is beautiful.
Well, and I think that's one of the great things about, and I think this is why Steven Spielberg appreciates Akira Kurosawa so much, is
100%.
because this movie works for anybody. Like,
Yes.
if you're just out there wanting like a good action movie,
Hmm.
and this sells.
Hmm.
And then if you have somebody who appreciates film
Yes.
as the art form and wants to look deeper, there's so much to chew into too. So, and
Hmm.
that's Spielberg.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really works there. And I'm not gonna lie, the next director I'm handpicking for Welcome to the Wasteland is Mel Brooks, because
Hmm.
I want to have a good time and have a fun time.
Yes.
But after him, I'm really tempted to just pick Akira Kurosawa, because I want to
Do it.
dive, I
Do
want to
it.
watch
Do it.
all of them. Because I've probably at least seen half his movies, at least at this point now, which
Nice.
first time watch for this show, Sanjuro. So
Nice.
this came out the next year,
Hmm.
1962. A crafty samurai helps a young man and his fellow clansmen try to save his uncle, who has been framed and imprisoned by a corrupt superintendent.
Hmm.
And yes, this is from director Akira Kurosawa and starring Toshiro Mifune as Sanjuro. You even have Tatsuya Nakadai, who pops up here, and because it's not just Mifune who pops
Hmm.
up in a lot of Kurosawa films. There's some other really great Japanese actors that
Yeah.
pops up in his films. I think Yojimbo's much more of a, this is Mifune's movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And but I do appreciate that there's a few others that really do stand out in this one too. But Luke, what were your general thoughts on Sanjuro?
So as for you, this was my first watch. And if my only complaint about Yojimbo was, the first half is, the pacing is a bit loose here and there. It could be slightly shorter. This is slightly shorter, but I don't know if I have anything. This movie is great. Like, look, okay, let me start this way. I
Yeah,
really like it too. Is it the same movie besides like it's not two clans, it's just like like kind of two families? Is it the same movie effectively? Yes. Like have I just watched it's not just a sequel. It's like or unofficial, even though it is kind of officially unofficial because the reason we got this movie was Yojimbo apparently was his biggest success, Kurosawa's. Made so much money in
not
Japan.
surprised.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
surprised at all.
So that's why they changed the one Kurosawa was working to have more elements of this movie. Anyway, uh, I liked it. I really liked it. My only complaint is if you watch it back to back with the Jimbo, it's like, oh, this is kind of the same movie, except it's not two clans in one village. It's like more like housebound, and it's more like family oriented. And there was no it's definitely more like it feels almost like more like toned down a bit besides the last 5 minutes because there is a one specific shot or there's a specific sequence towards the end where I'm like that was fucking awesome. That I will remember that for like a while. But the rest of the movie I was like this is very well shot. Obviously Toshiro is still awesome. He has some fun with his role.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I overall, I really liked it. What about you, Shane? What do you think?
So obviously, I've seen Yojimbo like 5, 6 times at this point, and
Nice.
really love that movie.
Hmm.
This is a first time watch, and I'll be interested to see how this grows on me. But I wasn't as engaged with this
Hmm.
one as Yojimbo, and it's interesting that you bring up that like this feels like a lot of the same kind of elements. It's the same basic kind of feel of like watching old westerns and stuff. It's like
Yep.
you're gonna get a template,
Yes.
and we might play around with that template a little bit, but you're still gonna get that template.
Hmm.
And it's the films that break the mold or elevate the mold
Do
that
something different
really
with the
stand
mold.
time.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised this one isn't as well known as Yojimbo. Like that
Hmm.
doesn't surprise me. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed this, and yes, it is impeccably put together. Um, I really love the moment where Sanjuro takes it to like that group of samurai for the first time, and like similar to like the climax of Yojimbo, he just
Hmm.
slices and dices some people, and you're just like,
Yep.
you know who you're messing around with now.
Hmm.
And that's the thing. Sanjuro doesn't have any problems pretending to be working for somebody else. And yet again, he does do that in this one and trying to distract and stuff like that. I I think this has a different type of story structure because Yojimbo's interesting because it intrigues you to find out who's really the the goodest
Hmm.
of the two, where it's just like, where are we gonna land here?
Hmm.
This one is very morally black and white from the start.
Pretty much.
And the most interesting element of it is when Sanjuro brings up some gray in the
Hmm.
very end of the film,
Yeah.
because he develops this relationship with this one particular member of this gang that works for the superintendent, to the point where you see Sanjuro's code come into play here.
Hmm.
And he must go toe to toe with this person who is ultimately offended by this betrayal that he
Hmm.
feels towards Sanjuro. And that sequence, like what you were pointing out, is cool as hell. And is
Yes.
gonna last with you. And it's so powerful when that is resolved and they're like, you did it. And he's just like, I'm not happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and he calls them out on, like, I had to kill a guy
Hmm. Hmm.
who I respected. And like this isn't a good thing.
Yes.
Even though like he had to do bad things to help these good people, and that still has an effect on you. And he trudges off doing his thing,
Hmm.
music playing off into the sunset onto his next adventure, which I would, God, if I was alive in the 60s watching these movies, if they came out with one of these every year, I would be eating this stuff up.
Yes.
And it's a little sad that like I'm assuming this is it. Like the Adventures of Sanjuro are done because from what I understand, it's just these two movies.
I think so. Yeah.
But I enjoyed this one a lot. Not quite loved it like I love
Hmm.
Yojimbo.
Hmm. Hmm.
It feels, and like I love how funny Sanjuro is in this, and it just playing around with these kind of very vanilla white kind of characters where they're
Hmm.
like, we're good guys, they're evil. And he's just like, Shh. And just kind of like playing around with how like innocent they are and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But it's less interesting because it is very clear who we're supposed to be rooting for and everything. And it just it feels like a safer bet. It feels like a safer version of Yojimbo from like
Hmm.
a storytelling and a character perspective. But I do feel like Toshiro Mifune is having a ton of fun making this movie, and I have a ton of fun watching him
Yeah.
play
Like
this
I
character.
was. Yes. No. I was gonna bring it up. So I think this one, the biggest difference, because I made a joke like it's pretty much the same movie as Yojimbo to an extent. I think the biggest difference now thinking about it, this is more about the character of Sanjuro, and
Yeah.
he starts as, I know I'm better than everybody here, like like stronger.
Yeah.
I'm better, like skillful swordsman, all that stuff, and then when he meets that his not equal, but somebody who's almost in the same level, right? And then
Mhm.
he needs to go up against him in this finale, and this is something we touched on during Yojimbo. He's got a code, right? He doesn't mind killing people because the ends. I think he's the character. Ends justify the means, right? So if I need to kill a bunch of fools for this town or village or whatever to be safer, I'll do it because this is ultimately the better good, or for greater good. And this one, it feel until that moment in Sanjuro, it is the same thing except for the finale where it's like you can see how he's impacted by what just happened and how brutal it was. Apparently this is the first movie where they did that, where somebody slices somebody and then suddenly you see mounds of blood, just like this shower of blood. And this is where all the other movies, including like Quentin
Like,
Tarantino,
well,
will.
Lady Snowblood,
Yes, yeah,
specifically in Japanese cinema,
yes,
like turn that all the way up, and Tarantino's like,
mm-hmm, yes.
yeah.
This and feet? Okay, let's do it. But so apparently, if IMDb is to be trusted, this is the very first movie where all the other samurai movies after, like, I got inspired. They're like, hey, if we slice a person, a lot of blood needs to come out because it looks cool as fuck. And it is look. First of all, it does look
Yeah.
cool. It is effective because up until that point, we are used to, hey, people get sliced. There's little to no blood, or if there's a blood, it's on the ground only, right? But no, this one is just like splashes him, and you see the amount of blood on him and on the ground. And
Yeah.
as you pointed out, they are the group of, I don't know, council, the family or whatever they are, the nine people who are always,
Yeah.
they are all very happy that he won, but he is not, and he, like, you can see the growth for that character is like, maybe this lifestyle is not sustainable. Maybe there's something needs to change. Maybe I'll leave this again, but who knows what will happen with that character if he leaves.
And maybe that's why there are no more Sanjuro journeys, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe this was it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an interesting duology then. I didn't really think about it that way, but maybe that is the arc of this character, is like, I'm hanging up my sword after this, because I think Tatsuya Nakadai does such a great job with that character,
Mm-hmm.
because he feels like an equal footing with Sanjuro, not only because he does have presence as an
Mm-hmm.
actor too,
Mm-hmm.
along with Mifune. And like, this is he was in Harakiri, Kagemusha, Ron, the Human Condition films. Like, so this is like another really big Japanese actor in a lot of these samurai films. And like,
Mm-hmm.
this has Takashi Shimura as well from Seven Samurai and Ikiru. So like, this
Yep.
has some like really big other names along with Mifune in this film. But no, that was the last 5 minutes is worth the price of admission. And this movie's only an hour and 35 minutes. So it's not like a
Yes.
big investment either. Um, it's one of those types of things where, like, I know it's not a direct sequel and you don't get set up in
Mm-hmm.
Yojimbo for uh who Sanjuro really is, but like, this feels like a sequel where it's like, okay, we're past getting used to this character now. We could just dive into a mission,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. We're dropped right in
Yes. Yeah.
to what's
Yeah.
going on here from the very beginning. It plays out. It's There's intrigue, there's spying, there's all of these little elements that are injected into the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a good story. I think it's an
Yeah.
interesting idea, this group of innocent clansmen who are just trying to live their lives, but they're under this oppressive boot of this corrupt superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just need a little help. And
Yes.
sometimes you just need the ultimate badass to just roll up and just slice and dice some people. But no, I did really enjoy this, and yes, I will be getting the Criterion
Mm,
double double set of this eventually because my Yojimbo Criterion is
mhm.
like one of the you all won't be able to see this, but Luke will. This is one of the original
Ooh,
old Criterions that
nice.
like I bought this used from Prince and Record Exchange, and this thing is old. Like it won't even fit my aspect ratio. It plays as a little box on
Ah.
my 4K TV. That's how old this DVD is. So I would love to upgrade and get that double pack of these
Mhm.
movies, but you know, that's a physical media discussion. Where's Adam? Um, but I guess
No,
Luke, go ahead.
mhm. I was gonna just, so Tatsuya Nakadai, the one you were talking about, he surprisingly, and also sadly, he only passed away last month,
Yeah,
November 8th, 2025, in age 92.
I just
And
noticed that it said
yes,
2025. I'm like, holy crap.
and he was an actor until the very end. Like if you look at his IMDb, he's been like active until the very
Oh,
end. Like he's been in
2020.
Japanese
Oh,
movies.
crap.
Yes, he's been in Japanese movies, so like he's obviously established himself way past like Harakiri and these like Kurosawa
Yeah,
movies. So I hope I wouldn't put it past the Academy to forget about him, but I really hope to see him in the memoriam reel next year's Oscar. I fucking
you
hope because
better.
like
He's a voice actor in The Tale of Princess Kaguya.
see yeah.
I see now. I want to go back and watch that. I'm assuming he's in the Japanese
Yes,
language
I would
version,
imagine.
obviously. Yeah, so
I would imagine.
no dubs for this one.
No, but no. So so I just wanted to give him a special shout out because
Yeah,
I hope like seems to be one of the biggest like Japanese actors of all time. And again,
yeah,
the pedigree, this guy, like you named it, Human Condition. I haven't seen, but it's on my shelf, so it will get
yep,
watched. Harakiri, these two movies, because he is the one who plays the pistol guy in Yojimbo, if I'm not mistaken, right? He's the one who's like, "Hey, I have a revolver here, so I can shoot anybody."
yeah.
So yeah, it's no, like yeah, and Sanjuro, as far as that, like it's still a great movie. I want to rewatch it at some point just on its own, minus Yojimbo, so I don't feel like I'm watching the same movie twice. And
Yeah.
I want to see how it will play. I have it on also physical, but there is like a BFI British Film Institute samurai set that has Seven
Ooh,
Samurai, Hidden Fortress,
yep.
Yojimbo, Sanjuro, and I can't remember the fifth one. There's a fifth one as well. All of these great movies, so I'm not getting rid of that, anytime soon. But yeah, it was definitely a
I
good time.
yes, Hidden Fortress, aka Star Wars.
Yes, which we talked about on your show
Yeah,
also.
yeah. What's also crazy to me is it's not as extreme, but like these two movies are on the tail end of Kurosawa's career. Like if you
Hmm.
look at his filmography, it's kind of Hitchcock-esque, where like
Yeah,
he made Yojimbo, Sanjuro High and Low, all back to back to back to back.
that's a streak. That's a fucking streak right there.
And but like in the 50s with Rashomon, Seven Samurai, Throne of Blood, The Hidden
Oh.
Fortress across the 50s, and there's others plopped in there.
Hmm.
And even back in the fort, like he had Drunken Angel and Stray Dog.
Hmm.
And like this man made Ron in 1985, like just casually, one of the most epic looking movies ever.
Yes,
Um, I would Dreams is probably towards the top of my I want to watch list
same.
because there's a lot of films from this era of Japanese cinema focusing on feudal Japan as well, like the Condition films. I haven't watched yet either, so
Hmm.
would love that. Not gonna lie, if I had to pick one country's cinema that I'm the biggest fan of outside of just
Hmm.
American cinema, it's 100% Japanese cinema because whether it's anime or samurai films or just anything, like even just like modern filmmakers and stuff like that in live action. It's just like this is some good stuff. Got some good
There's
stuff.
definitely some good stuff, and especially if you're watching movies made by somebody like Kurosawa,
Mhm.
it's, time is not wasted. Like, time
No.
is not wasted. Just you will have a fun, and sometimes you will have even more than fun. You will be like, oh shit, that makes me think about this and this or that or that. Just like Throne of Blood is a great movie. Like, like yeah, just again,
And just throwing out like we reference Harakiri and
yes.
Masaki Kobayashi with that and his Human Condition films and Samurai
Hmm.
Rebellion, like another great filmmaker. So increase your watch list, people. There's a
Yes.
lot of things to go check out. But Luke, thank you so much for coming on and always talking movies with me.
Always a blast. Thank you so much for having me, Shane.
And thank all of you for listening. Next week, I'll be joined by our frequent collaborator here on the show. It is going to be Jeff, and we're going to be talking about Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached. So, very different movies than what we just talked about. And next month, Luke and I are going to dive into Meet Me in St. Louis and A Star is Born, a couple of Judy Garland classic, old school Hollywood musicals for sure.
Yes.
But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite samurai film? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So if you want to be part of the crew, whether you become a guest on one of these shows, like Luke's show, he's always looking for people to interview on Flicks and Show.
Please, please.
Um, please, please. Or if you have an idea for your own podcast that you want to get started, reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. Most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.